time call the meeting for Monday, May the 15th to order. And just a couple house cleaning issues here. If you have your cell phone or machines on that are going to interrupt the meeting, I ask you to turn them off, please. And we do have one member of council missing this evening, and who has a leave of absence, that being Steve Bjorkman from Ward 1. And I'd just like to welcome former Mayor Harrell, Peter Timmons, to our meeting this evening. Welcome, Peter. Good to see you, sir. And at this time, I'd ask if there's any conflicts of interest amongst the council members. No, thank you very much. And if you do find yourself later, just inform us, okay? Thanks. Looking for the adoption of the published agenda for Monday, May the 15th. Councillor Snively, Councillor Vokes, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Mr. Auger.
Item 5, adoption of minutes, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held May 1st, 2017 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Deputy Mayor Malage. Questions? All in favor? Carries.
Item 6 on the agenda, Your Worship, is a public presentation. Mr. Andrew Tymek from 82 Mainstone Avenue asked to be a delegation this evening to come here and speak to council about his concerns with the town's current open air bylaw, or open air burning bylaw, bylaw 285.
Okay. Mr. Tymek, if you just, yep, right there, and if you push the purple button on the front end of that machine, the mic will come on. And I don't know if they advise you, you have up to 5 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Has it started yet?
Nope.
Oh.
No.
My name is Andy Tymek. I come here because of a problem with our current bylaws for open air fires. All this starts with someone in the neighborhood who continuously likes to light fires, and every time I call the fire department, they assure me that he's in compliance with the regulations that you have set forth. My problem is when I call them, I'm within 50 feet of this open fire. The wind blows my way, and my wife has severe allergies. We cannot sit outside. We can't open windows. I came here today, when I left to help my son working, so I left some windows open. This gentleman decided again to have a fire. When I come home, my house is full of smoke. I've called the fire department. They've come and said, Mr. Tymek, everything is in full compliance. But my problem is, and it says specifically in the bylaws that be considerate of neighbors. If smoke or embers travel to a neighbor property or decrease visibility on any roadway, you must extinguish the fire. Now, when I call the fire department and complain about this, I've been threatened that they basically said to me, you could be charged for having frivolous and nuisance calls. All I want to do is to make this council aware of the fact that we live in a small community. Open fires in the backyards may have been a great thing years ago. Now, it becomes an annoyance. Perhaps the individual that has the fire enjoys the smoke. I don't. My wife doesn't. All I'm asking council to is reconsider this open air bylaw, because we need to come into the 21st century. I mean, Windsor has no such thing as open bylaws for fires. You just don't have fires. I mean, I understand the idea of it, but I think if you're going to have open fires, it shouldn't be within the city of Essex. It should be, if out in the country, there's not a problem. And the other thing I'm concerned about is because when I asked the fire department to enforce the current bylaws, because there's smoke in my house, their suggestion is, take it up to council here. So this is why I'm here, because I think this bylaw needs to be reviewed considering the neighborhoods, we're not out in the country, and other people's ability to have a quiet life. The last time I called the fire department, they came and he gave me the same story. No sooner did he leave, the gentleman threatened me, so I had to call the police. I don't want to live like this. I'm 70 years old. I'm retired. I want to be a nice, comfortable life. I don't want to make waves, but in a small community as this, we shouldn't be allowed to have open fires. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from Deputy Mayor Malash?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to move over to our Chief of the Fire Department, Rick Arnell, and ask for a comment as to his opinion on this matter.
Mr. Fire Chief, Rick?
Through you, Your Worship. Mr. Tumek's correct. We did attend his home. I don't have the dates. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got the call. We went and visited. The gentleman that was having the open burn had a small fire with about 3 logs on it. He had a roasting pan with a chicken that was 3/4 cooked at that point. There was no visible smoke at the time we were there. He complied to the bylaw, our current bylaw, as well. He complied to 2444 of the Ontario Fire Code, with small contained fire used for cooking. We asked the gentleman if he would put it out after he finished cooking his chicken, and he said he would do that for us. So we did return back to Mr. Tumeric's house and spoke with him, told him that he was going to finish cooking his chicken and put the fire out. So, you know, it fell under the conditions of the bylaw, our current bylaw, the way it stands. And the bylaw is bylaw number 1399, not 285. We updated it in 2015.
Thank you, sir. Further?
So to you, Chief Arnell, so would you say that our bylaw for these fires is similar or adequate to, compared to other communities that have a smoke or small fire bylaw?
Through you, Your Worship, we're pretty consistent with other small municipalities. As Mr. Tumek noted, the City of Windsor has a no burning bylaw within the City of Windsor. They do not allow anyone to burn. I know Lake Shores is I think almost identical to what ours is. So our bylaw pretty well conforms to everybody else in the county. And I know Chatham-Kent's is the same, other than they charge for to get a permit to have one. We don't have permits for open burns, small open burns used for cooking, anything 2 by 2 by 2. We don't ask for permits. We're doing annually somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 burn permits outside of the 2 by 2 range annually.
Okay. That it, Deputy Mayor? Okay. I have
Can-
Councillor Vokes and then Councillor Snively.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The gentleman who just spoke advised me the only way I can change the regulation is coming here to council. He, at the time, said, I understand your problem. Now, what am I supposed to do in the future? Every time the smoke comes into my house, infringes on my health, do I call you so you can come and ask him to put the fire out? Because I was told if I do that, I could be charged with nuisance calls. Now I'm intimidated by my neighbor, I'm intimidated by the fire department. What do I do? Do I sell the house and move?
No, you just hang in, let us ask our questions, and then before you leave, you'll have some idea of what you need to do, what we're going to do, and it might be in the future. But just hang in there, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Folks and Councillor Snively.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your current address, sir, is Maidstone Avenue?
82, yes.
82. Where exactly is 82 Maidstone Avenue at?
Across from the funeral home almost. We moved there in case I pass away, my wife could just bring me across.
Okay, 80.
It's
okay.
right in town, and my neighbor's right behind me, within 60 feet of my lot line. And trust me, I don't mind the odd fire. Today, when I come home, he had another fire. He had a fire Friday night, he had a fire Saturday night, a fire again tonight. I mean, if I appreciate a fire if anybody else does, but let's be realistic. You know, it's infringing on my quality.
Okay,
of
we've heard that,
life.
sir. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to be asked a question, and I would just
I'm sorry.
hope you would answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Councillor Folks.
So we're early into this year, so I don't want to reflect on that, and you may not have the information in front of you, Chief or Deputy Chief. But in 2016, how many calls did we get in terms of fires of this nature happening that you responded to as it related to our bylaw being in violation?
Chief.
How many calls and how many in violation?
Through you, Your Worship, we get numerous calls, and we have a lot of people that call in, and we go and actually check it, and tell them to downsize so they can meet the bylaw. How many calls already this year? To date is, oh, here it is. To date in 2017, we've had 4 open burns
So 4
so
calls.
far this year.
And-
That we've gone to
Right.
investigate, yes.
How many, and do you have the stats in front of you from 16?
18.
We had 18 total calls.
That were in or seemed to be in, some weren't in violations, but the call were that someone
Okay,
figured they were in violation.
let me go back a little bit. In 2016, we had 18 calls, correct? In total.
That's correct.
How many of those 18 calls were in violation of the perimeters of the bylaw?
Through your worship, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I can get that and report back.
So we responded to 18, or we had 18?
Through your worship, we responded to 18 calls.
So if we responded to 18, we don't know how many were in violation?
Through your worship, I don't have those numbers. Out of the 18, I'm not sure how many were in violation.
What did we find out when we responded?
When we respond to the incidents, if they are in violation, we have the individuals put the fire out
So did we
of
have
their own
anybody-
accord, or we put it out for
Did
them.
we have
But
any-
I don't have the numbers.
So we don't know if we had anybody.
Because out of the 18, we may have had some fires that were in compliance as this. We didn't even make a fire call run for this. We just went over and took a look at it.
So we had 18 calls, but we don't know how many were in terms of.
He has said that 3 times, Councillor.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, I'm finished, thanks.
Okay, and now I have Councillor Snively.
Through your worship, I think the chief just answered this. When the call come in, the fire department did not go, it wasn't a call, right? You didn't send the fire department over there.
Through your worship, yes, they do go. We get complaints. Sometimes the fire station go. We got a call into the office here, and myself and Assistant Deputy Chief Pilon went
So-
out and checked this one.
Okay, but we're not sending trucks over there when this call comes in, are we?
Through you, your worship, yes, we are.
Why
Those
would we?
18 calls we sent.
Why would we?
We don't during the day when we're in the office, but at night or weekends, that's when they go out and they send trucks because we have an open air burn
But
complaint.
Chief, further, your worship, Chief. We know the calls coming in from this individual here. We know what the complaint is. Why would we send our truck? What's the cost of the trucks going out? What is that, about $600, $500 every time a call?
Through you, your worship, you'd be in
About
approximately
$500 or $600.
$500.
We had
Yeah.
the same problem on the 4th. And we know it's an ongoing problem. So I don't understand why we're wasting taxpayers' money and sending the fire department out there. We know there's a problem there. And I understand what this gentleman's going through, but we have a bylaw, and these people are within the bylaw, but he's saying that they have how often is this fire going on?
This week alone, since last 4 times.
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing further to this?
I guess, yeah.
I think that this situation has blown up.
I agree.
Okay? I think there's some friction between 2 neighbors here. We get the fire department involved, and Chief, I had the same problem when I was the mayor here on the 4th concession with 2 neighbors trying to burn each other out with smoke. Okay, the fire department went out there, the cost was $500 to $700, and we had to go talk to them and say, if you do it again, and I'm not throwing this at you, but if it happens again, somebody's got to pay for the call. Plain and simple. I thought this was already in place with this municipality. I thought it was already in place. It's a continuing problem. We're sending out the fire department for a little fire. The guy's cooking the chicken or whatever. I really do believe this is, I think your neighbor is trying to get revenge here. I hate to say it, but I think there's a problem here between 2 neighbors. Same situation happened on my road.
There was never
I'm gonna ask you to turn your mic off. I want you to push the button so you can't talk through the mic unless spoken to. I'll give you permission when you can speak, okay?
One further thing, your worship. I think we have to regulate our calls. We cannot be sending out a fire department when we know what the problem is. We're sending out trucks, where the fire department's coming in, like a call. I don't understand that. I really don't. I'm not here to jump all over you, Chief, but, you know, for us to go out with the taxpayers' money and send trucks out there, pumpers, and we already know what the situation is coming in.
Just for a point of information.
No, sir.
There was
Sir,
no fire
sir,
trucks.
Sir, I will ask you
There
to
was no
leave.
fire trucks.
I'm
Just
asking
thinking.
you to stop,
All right.
or I will ask you to leave the room. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to clarify.
I know you do. We'll give you a chance.
Thank you.
Now, I asked you to shut your phone off, microphone off. Hit that purple button. Now, if you start to say something, we won't hear you. Thank you. Councillor Snively.
No, I just...
Okay,
I just say, your worship,
okay.
that somehow...
I hear
have to
you, and
change
we
it.
need to deal with that,
Exactly.
you know,
It's a lot of
exactly. I
money.
agree with you.
It's a lot of money.
Okay. Did you have a point of order, was it?
Just a point of clarification.
Okay, then I have Councillor Bondi. Go ahead.
So through you to the chief, I think there might be some misinterpretation. The 18 calls last year were not to this residence. The 18 calls were total. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that
Through you,
wasn't
your worship,
referenced.
to Councillor Caxar, yes, that's correct. We had 18 total calls last year of open air burn complaints.
Councillor Snively.
It's just a little further. Can I ask you, Chief, how many calls here?
Through you, your worship, we've had one this year, and I believe it was spring of last year. We were at Mr. Tumeric's house again. I think it was last year and one other time, so. But all three times, we've never attended his home with a fire truck. We've went and investigated it during the day.
Have heard from Mr. Timek that it has happened more often than the calls to the fire department. Okay, Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really think there are two issues here, and I think we're talking about the wrong issue. So there is the issue of unnecessary fire calls, the 18, or maybe they're not unnecessary. I think sometimes they are necessary, but the issue here right now is with our bylaw and how our bylaw applies to small confined fires. My understanding is if you have a permit and it's an open air fire, a big one, and say it's on a farm, and you're smoking a neighbor out, you can't do that, right? You can only burn when your smoke isn't bothering anybody else. Is that correct? Okay, so you could just wave, you could just nod. Okay. So then it brings us to the exceptions, 9, 10, and 11. So I, in my backyard in Harrow, can have a chimenea, which is small, but I can smoke somebody out, but it doesn't fit in within our bylaw. Is through you, Mr. Mayor, to Rick Arnell, our fire chief, that's my question.
Through you, your worship, to Councillor Bondi, yes, it would fit in the bylaw because it's still a small contained fire, and if you're burning something, it still falls under the guidelines that you got to have a small contained fire. And if there's heavy smoke and it's bothering somebody when we get there, the issue we have every time we've shown up to Mr. Tumeric's house is Timic, I'm sorry, to his home. The smoke wasn't blowing towards his home when we were there. So, I mean, we can only go by the premise of the bylaw. And yes, there is fees attached to the bylaw that we can start charging. But out of those, and I will get the numbers out of the calls in 16 and send that to you. Most calls we get, people are driving by with a cell phone, see a large fire, and it's already a burn, it has a burn permit. So we're showing up to fires that have a permit already, so.
Okay, so further to that, Mr. Mayor, so I think what is hard right now is that the resident is claiming that the smoke from the neighbor's fire is bothering him. That's legitimate. I get calls all the time about fire, and I've sent the fire department or staff out to Colchester, because I get a lot of calls out in the village. So it's finding that balance between, cottage life and rural and urban life and making it so that it's harmonious between it. I personally wouldn't want somebody else's smoke from their fire coming into my house, so I can understand where you're coming from. So now it comes down to enforceability, right? If the neighbor's chimenea or when he's cooking his chicken is bothering you, how do we enforce that? How do we catch it? And that's what I think we are struggling to find an answer with. I get a lot of calls. I would personally start calling your ward reps. That's what I would do too. Get his number and call him every time it happens. Instead of calling the fire department, call Randy or call Steve and say, this is what's happening. That's one idea. I don't know if you can get pictures of the smoke. I don't know to help build your case, but I'm hearing your concern. I'm struggling with how we can help you because if it's not smoking the neighbors out when they get there, if the cop doesn't catch me speeding, did I really speed, right? It's one of those things. So I understand if our fire department were to fine a neighbor, but they didn't have proof, it's a wash anyways. It's a waste of their time. It would get thrown out in the court. If our staff are going to do anything about it, they need to catch them red-handed, so to speak, right? So that's the struggle that I'm having with. Sounds like the bylaw is fine. We just have to have ways to enforce it and to catch them more so in the act. And I don't know what that looks like.
Your Councillor votes.
Thank you, Worship. I think we're going to have a hard time really coming up with a resolution tonight if we don't know out of the 18 how many were in actual violation. If we responded to 18 and it was found that 15 were in violation of the bylaw, then we really need to tighten up the bylaw. If we responded to 18 and it was shown 2 were in violation of the bylaw, then our bylaw works. It seems to work anyways. In terms of eliminating fire pits completely, I can tell you, sir, I've been on council for, I think, 14 years now, and this is the first time we've actually had somebody come in body to council to raise the issue about open fires. I'd be ignorant to say to you, I haven't heard of the problem before, because I have. But I haven't heard of it in abundance amounts. And so that's why, if we were to, as a council, say here tonight, or even suggest here tonight, that we're going to eliminate open fires in the urban center of Essex or Harrow, this will definitely ring tomorrow. Because there's a host of people who love their outside fires at night. That's not what you want to hear probably, but it's the truth. So we got to find a way to kind of figure out how we're going to find out whether or not our bylaw is working based on violations. And then if it's not, tighten those strings up a little bit so it doesn't affect people such as yourself. But the problem we have with it is, in this case, the way our bylaw is written, it's suggesting everything was in order when they visited this address. I hate saying it, and I don't want to be the Grim Reaper, but you know, we have the same things in terms of noise bylaws and people playing music outside and all those things that neighbors find annoying, and some neighbors don't. So we got to take a look at it. I don't know what the answer is, but I really would like to see what the violation rate looks like.
Thank you, sir. Chief Arnell.
Through you, your worship, just one other note is, in 2015, we made the change to the bylaw. 2015, we had 32 open-air burns that we attended. So in 2016, that's dropped to 18, and we're at 4 so far this year. So it looks like the message is getting out there on how to do it, but as Councillor Volk said, it's some people like it and some people don't, and we're caught in a catch-22. So.
Snively. Oops.
Just one, through your worship, just one further thing. Okay, we're talking about open fires. Now, just a question, Chief. If we get a call, for example, a farm burn, for example, and they don't call in, the fire department goes out there, do we charge them and they pay or no? I thought we brought that into effect.
Through your worship, we can say that I don't think we've gone to any that hasn't had a permit in the last over a year. Everyone seems to have they're getting their permits because we don't charge for them, which is one of the reasons that we don't have, when we're doing about, and I'm sure Chris can attest to this, okay, we're doing 6,000 burn permits a year. So.
Yeah, okay, but further to that then, Chief, just, I don't want to continue on with this all night, but if we had a call from a neighbor out, let's say out in the country, and they had a nice big fire going at night, and you guys sent the trucks out there, do we charge these people or no?
Through your worship, the first time we go out, we usually warn them, say, you know, you can be fined, you are subject to a bylaw. We try to work with the people to get them to understand, and then the next time we go out, we would charge. So we're doing the same thing with smoke alarms and the same and CO alarms.
I understand what you're saying, but we're sending trucks out. We're sending the fire department out there, right?
Through your worship, when we're called,
Yeah,
we go out, yes.
So I'm just saying to council that maybe later on we should be looking at this bylaw again and reviewing the bylaw because it's costing us money. Nothing against the fire department, but it's costing the taxpayers money. And we got to look at this because it does get carried away. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I just have a couple comments. I know Councillor Volk's touched on the noise. I live right across from a parking lot, but that's a play zone for all the kids in the neighborhood. When they're making all that noise, I turn my TV up. I know if I was you, sir, and this doesn't happen, I don't think, every day, could you not just close your window if it's blowing in this side of your house for that one evening and open it up? Although you said it's 4 nights last week. But it doesn't sound like it happens that often. That couldn't you not, put your window up one day or maybe 2 days in a row and then have it down for the next 23. You know, it's what they call working together. And I'm sure if you help this guy and he'd help you, but like it was said over here, it's two neighbors fighting, and we get this all over the municipality too, so don't think you're alone here. And with that, I only have one question to the chief. You made a statement that a lot of your calls come in from people driving by a farmhouse saying there's a great big fire here, and we send a fire truck out, but they've got a burn permit. So obviously, the firemen don't realize that these burn permits are being held by the farmer that's burning. Do I get that?
Through you, your worship, what happens is we have permits, and when the call comes in, dispatch will tell the crews that there's a permit in the area, but when the phone call comes in via cell phone, they don't know where they are, they don't really know totally the address, so you have to treat it as a fire until it's not a fire. It's better to be safe than sorry and not show up.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sir, you're going to have a chance to respond now, and then we're going to say thank you very much for coming.
Well, I thank you for listening to me. You won't believe how frustrating. I've talked to this gentleman, and I said, you know, is it necessary you have a fire every other night? He politely tells me to go have a sexual relationship with myself, you know. So I've tried being nice with him. It doesn't work. And then and by the way, last year I called 6 times. You said twice. I've asked them when they come over to come in my house because it's full of smoke, you know. And they said, well, we're not going to go in your house. Listen to my frustration. There's got to be a way. We're living in a tight-knit community. I enjoy a fire as much as the other guy. But 3-4 times a day or a week, do I call the fire department each time there's a fire and the smoke's coming my way? And my wife can't sit on the swing on our patio because it bothers her? Is that a quality of life for retirees? Is that what you want to do for the city of Essex? You don't want that. There's got to be a way to find a balance. I can't talk to this gentleman because he's just ignorant and arrogant, and I'm sorry. And he's not here, and I shouldn't say that because he's not here to defend himself. But I'm here because this gentleman said there's only one way you could correct this.
Right.
Is to come here and have
That's
a change in the bylaws.
That's right.
So
And he's right.
I thank all the members of council for listening to me. And whatever you do, if you do a review of this, I would appreciate it. This burning in a small area, I mean, out in the county, that's
Okay,
fine.
you've said that, so thank you. Can you do me a favor, sir? Write down and leave it on the desk over there, this gentleman's address, or call my office tomorrow morning. We know it? Okay. I will get it, and I'll go visit this gentleman. I'm sure I know who it is. I don't know which house it is, but when I get there, I'll bet you I know the guy.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I'll
sure you
talk to
do.
him.
And I'll call you every time he has a fire that comes in the smoke comes in my house. Is that
Okay.
all right?
Yes, but I'll go. You know what
Good.
I'll say to you? Sir, it's coming in the one side of your house. Why don't you put that one window up? It's not going in the other side.
You see,
But anyways,
now I
thank
have
you.
to make the sacrifices.
Okay, well, yes.
Oh,
Either that or shut down all the fires in town. So what?
that's a good idea.
Well, that's right. It may happen. So if you shut your mic off, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'll check into it tomorrow. Mr. Clerk. Councilor Snively.
Your worship, if I can ask council a favor and yourself, if we could move up planning report 8.5, we have Randy Moyer here tonight, and John Gillis is here, so if we can move it up. They've been here since the beginning of the meeting, and
Support. Is that a motion?
8.5.
I think it's
That was a
8.5,
motion.
isn't it? Yeah. 8.5, yes.
8.5, motion.
If we can
and
move it
Counselor-
up,
Yes,
I don't think they want to sit here all night.
seconded by Counselor Bondi. Anything to the motion? On favor? Motion carries. Okay, gentlemen, we're going to move this up. Counselor Caxaro, just in case there's any questions, if you want to come to the,
Through you, I'll make a motion to receive the report and move the recommendations.
okay? 8.5, everyone there? We have the motion. Do we have a seconder? Counselor Snively with a comment.
If
Yep.
they have anything they'd like to say tonight.
Well, hey, hang on.
No, we're
Okay.
gonna,
Hang on. We have to get them permission to come down and speak. You making a motion to have them come out of the, okay, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? Oh, we got a motion on already. That's right. Anyways, the motion is to receive and move. Well, we can do it without any discussion, I'm sure. Get it done.
Let's just stay with the one motion. That's fine.
I know they won't need to say anything.
Through you, if the proponents don't have anything to say, and if council's comfortable with not hearing them speak, the motion's on the floor, that I think it's what they'd like to see us do anyway.
right.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. You have a seconder? Yeah, Councilor Vokes, I think. Any questions to that motion? All in favor? Motion carries. I've just been informed we haven't received the report in 6.1.
Motion to receive the report?
Councilor Bondi, Deputy Mayor Malash. Oh. Okay, all in favor of that motion? Motion carries. Thank you for that, Mr. Clerk, or young lady.
Moving on, Your Worship, with the balance of the reports in item 8. 8.1, Corporate Services Report, Clerk 2017-04, quarter revision for Malden Road and Brush Side Road drain. That said report be received, and that Deputy Mayor Malash and Councilors Snively and Vokes be appointed to sit as members of the quarter revision, to be scheduled for June 19th at 4:30 p.m., together with first two readings to bylaw 1610 to provide for the drain.
Support the recommendations?
By Councilor Bondi, supported by Councilor Caxaro. Any questions to the motion? Excuse me. All in favor?
Who put me on
Sorry?
there for that?
Beg
I'm,
pardon?
I'm actually going to be out of town. Nobody even asked.
So, through Your Worship, last year council passed a resolution to appoint quarter revision on a
No, but I'll be
rotating
out of
basis.
town.
So if
No.
you're not available, then we would look to the
Yeah.
next council member,
That would be.
or a council member who's available to sit as the third member.
Yeah.
June 19th.
Yeah.
But as far as the appointment through your worship, it's just on a rotating basis.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, who's next on the rotating basis?
I believe we would go
Me?
back up to the list.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I will be there.
Councilor Bondi? Okay.
Is it you, though? Or it could be Councilor Caxaro or myself? Councilor Caxaro.
Through your worship, it was just alphabetical, and unfortunately, Councilor Bjorkman isn't
Councilor
available.
Bjorkman,
I mean, if
yeah.
he was available, he hasn't yet taken his turn.
So-
I'll just do it, because
Councilor
I'll be
Brown.
available.
Yeah.
This way it's done.
Yep, okay. Thank you. Yep, thanks. So, if I may, Mr. Clerk, where does that leave us for the next one?
I'll do the
No, no. Okay, like,
I'll just do the next. I can't make next meeting, I'll do the next. Or whatever one chair you're going to do, I'll do.
We'll make
Okay.
we'll make a note of it.
thanks, thanks.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm free then.
8.2, Community Services, 2017-017, Special Events Resource Team update for May for receipt.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Caxero. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
8.3 is Building Report 2017-04, that the said report providing council with a summary of building activity up to April 30th, 2017 be received.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Bondi. With question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed in the building report for residential development, there was a significant jump in residential, I'm not looking at it right now, I can't find it, but there was a significant jump in residential development from 2016 to 2017. So what I find in this building report, I'm not sure if the department can add it, but it would be helpful to know the the residential home permits taken out by ward. I believe there was only 11 in 2017, so it's not like onerous, it's not a lot of work, but this way we can kind of track if the waiving of the development fees in Ward 4 is working. For the next month's building report, please.
Mr. Nepsey?
Through your worship, that can be done, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, any further conversations with any of the builders for the Harrow area, Chris?
Through your worship, none. None through my department that I've heard of, no.
Nothing, eh?
Yeah.
And the property on Walker North by Colio, is there any progress there, do you know? Can you give us an update on that? Is there anything happening there yet? I know they were doing stormwater management.
Yeah, through your worship, that the subject property that Councillor Snively's talking about is with the proponent, and they're working on their stormwater management, yeah. That's all I know. I haven't had any questions or any info put back to us.
Okay, and no further to Phase 3 of Sunset? No conversations with Grossi, or Grossi, or however you want to pronounce it?
Through your worship, similarly, stormwater management is being reviewed. We're peer reviewing their engineering drawings, and we're going back and forth with their engineer with that. So.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
8.4, Planning Report 2017-15, Notice of Intention to designate 1215 Isler Road under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act for receipt, and that council concurs and supports the initiation of the designation process.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Melange and supported by Councillor Caxero. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
8.6, Infrastructure and Development Report 2017-04, results of requests for tender, supply of 4 trucks in 2017. Said report for receipt, and that council concurs with the recommendations, and that the request for tender be awarded to Oxford Dodge Chrysler in the amount of $156,474.30.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
8.7, Infrastructure and Development, 2017-05, Essex Center Ward 1, Southeast Area, Storm Sewer Improvements, Procurement of Engineering Services for Environmental Assessment, Report for Receipt, and that council supports the recommendations and waives the requirements waives the requirements for professional services in accordance with Section 22.02 of Bylaw 1043, and the engineering services be awarded to Stantec Consulting.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Snively. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 9 on the agenda, Your Worship, is reports from youth members. Any report from our youth council member, Ava Hoffman?
Yes, tonight I have a report from Squirettes. Okay. So the Squirettes of Mary, I'm a member of, I'm on the executive there. We have a land and sea dinner every May. It's May 27th this year. And we're requesting a donation from the Essex Council, so I have the letter here. To whom it may concern. The Squires of Mary is a Catholic girls' organization for ages between 11 and 17. This year, McGregor Circle 1001 is hosting a Land and Sea dinner on May 27, 2017 at the Knights of Columbus Hall in McGregor. The girls participate in all aspects of putting on this event, and by doing so, the group supports our goals and mission, which include enhancing health, education, spirituality, leadership, and community service, just to name a few. It would be greatly appreciated if you would donate towards our fundraising effort. A suitable door prize or a prize that we could raffle or a monetary contribution towards these items would be appreciated. So that's the letter.
Okay,
It's May 27th. You have to buy tickets in advance. There's an all-you-can-eat salad bar, dessert bar, there's lobster, steak, and chicken, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year.
that's a Saturday evening, I think, isn't it? Okay. Councilor Vokes?
So Ava, what is it you're looking for again, if you could, please?
A raffle prize, such as a suitable door prize or monetary donation, so we could buy a prize to raffle off.
If I could,
Yes, sir.
to Donna Hunter. Donna, would the monetary donation they're looking for, would that fit my?
Through you, Your Worship, I would like to look at the policy, but I didn't hear all of what
Yeah,
Ava was
could you-
saying.
Could you just explain to Donna what it is?
Okay. So it's
Wait, further. There you go.
okay. So it's our fundraiser for the year, and we're asking for a suitable door prize or a prize we could raffle off, or a monetary contribution to buy a door prize for the steak and lobster dinner for the Squirettes of Mary.
Squirettes.
Oh, okay. It's a Catholic girls youth group that we
Okay.
believe in spirituality, leadership, community service, and other values like that.
Through you, Your Worship, yes, that would.
So with that being said, Ava, I'll give you $400 from my council contingency fund to help your cause, to go out and get something for you that,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
You're welcome.
Your choice. Deputy Mayor Melange.
Thank you, Ava. And also, I'd like to buy some tickets if you want to hit me up afterwards, and I'll give you a personal raffle prize as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Caxero and Councilor Bundy.
Through your worship, Ava, how much are the tickets for the event?
It's $20 per ticket, but that you can add another $20 to get a whole lobster. So it's $35 per ticket for the sea if you just want a lobster only, or it's $20 for the chicken or the steak, and then you can add the lobster.
Okay, thank you. So further to that, I know we've changed our policy with regards to attending fundraisers as far as council members, and it will come out of our funding that we have for going away to conferences. I would suggest much the same as what we did for the Realtors fundraiser that they did for the Kiwanis Camp, that maybe we could get a bunch of us that are willing to go out to the event. The date again, Ava?
It's May 27th, and the dinner is served at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Councilor Bundy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just overheard our CEO saying that maybe we could donate a door prize as well, get some Essex swag out there. So, and I think that the dinner table tickets is a good idea as well.
Either the clerk wouldn't mind your letter requesting, so you'll have an idea
Okay.
who to, where to, and all that stuff. Okay?
Like an idea for the prize?
Or, well, you take any prize, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
just the
um,
information.
Yeah. He just needs that information and everything. Okay? Councilor Snively.
Through your worship, I agree with Councilor Coxero. We should do the same thing as what we did at the Kiwanis. Buy a table, 4 or 5 of us go to it. I think That's something we should be supporting.
But if I may, I wouldn't say we should buy a table because we bought a table at 10, sent 8, you know, and well, and that's all I'm recommending. Don't buy a table of 10 if only 6 are going. Buy 6. You know, like we bought the table of 10, we couldn't give them away. You know, we could have, but we weren't allowed to give them away, so, you know. So it was a waste. It wasn't a waste because they got the money for that, didn't have to give the meal, but don't tell our taxpayers that. Thanks. Councilor Bondi.
I'd like to make a motion that we receive the presentation in administration, survey council to see who is available to go and to find tickets for those that are available to go.
Aye, Councilor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you for that, Eva. Councilor Caxero.
Through you, Your Worship. Ava, I will be out of town that night, so I will not be able to attend, but I will also donate some money out of my discretionary fund to the event.
Item 10 this evening, any updates from County Council?
No, sir.
Okay. Moving on, Your Worship, to item 11, correspondence, 11.1, that the correspondence listed in agenda item 11.1 be received and where indicated to further share with the community using suitable methods of communication.
Moved by Councilor Caxero, supported by Councilor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
11.2 on the agenda, correspondence to be considered for receipt and support.
Let's back up. Okay, 11.1. Well, I waited about 18 seconds for a seconder, but anyways, we're back there. Councilor votes. 11.1.
So in reading the report, it was pointed out, and I'll quote it. It says, "I understand from staff that there
Nothing's been filed yet, and it hasn't been filed yet, so how can anybody tell you that, sir? Hang on. You asked a question. The clerk is going to answer your first question. Okay. Madam Clerk. Sorry, Madam CAO.
The reference in that paragraph in the annual report refers back to when he did come and make his presentation last year, that he had asked administration that we forward any additional YouTube videos of council that they may have had any concerns. And that is what administration has been doing, drawing his attention to very specific ones. He did say he's watching, but he didn't want to watch all of them. So we just alerted him to the ones that may be of interest, and any correspondence throughout the year that we thought could be put in his file for future reference. And that is what he had asked us to do, is just keep sending him anything that he may find interesting.
I'm going to ask the opportunity to file a complaint. I find that workplace harassment. And I'm filing a complaint as of right now against him under workplace harassment. Whenever somebody watches a video of a perceivably action when a submission of a violation has already been asked for and given, he's got no right, nor does administration, nor does anybody have any right to follow me as a single individual on actions what I do. That's harassing me. And I'm filing a complaint as of this moment right now. No discussion.
I'm going to turn this over to the clerk because I think he knows how what you're supposed to do.
I know what harassment is. Trust
I'm
me.
not questioning that, but you have to follow a pattern, a system, and that system is.
Your worship, I don't have much to add. Councillor Vokes, it's his prerogative. If he wishes to file a complaint, he could do so under our respectful workplace
That's right.
policy or the code of conduct, and that's his prerogative.
It is, but is it not to be put in writing?
No.
You can't just say, I'm
It-
filing a complaint. Is all I'm gonna-
Through your worship, yes, there would be an expectation that it would be a written complaint
Well,
filed.
that's no problem. I got no problem doing that, but I want a full investigation done as to who complained, why they complained, where they complained, and what gives him the right to follow me on YouTube as an individual when I'm just doing my job. He should have never been here in the first place. We spent over $30,000 to bring him in.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This is not really on the agenda. That's not,
It's
what
not.
Councillor Vokes is talking about has got nothing to do with the report that was presented in 11.1.8.
It doesn't.
One point, and he can file that on his own time.
He can do that, but
doesn't.
he's
So when it-
asking,
when it- if I
okay, there's a point of order, so I got to deal with it, Counselor. There's a point of order, you saying he shouldn't be allowed to, but it's in this report. He can ask a question to go on like he has. I shouldn't allow that.
But we don't need to know what he's going to do.
That's right. I shouldn't have allowed that. He has the right to ask a question, I feel, without a conflict of interest or anything else. I think he has that right to ask his question. But don't tell us what we're going to do or what he's going to do. Ask your question. We'll get your answer.
No,
If
but-
we have it, sir, that's all we need.
I got to
Yeah.
disagree with Mayor.
Okay,
Mayor-
but I'm going to let you go.
Sure.
I've disagreed with him, so
Yeah.
continue,
Oh,
but
thank
don't
you.
go down that.
All I'm
That
saying,
road.
all
Stay
I'm
on this
saying,
road.
Your Worship, is that when he makes a position that I could be disrupting further, which I haven't, right? Which I haven't, right? And now-
Not going to
and
say
now-
right,
Well, now I got puppy eyes looking at me, right?
puppy eyes.
Right there. Deputy Mayor Milan, she just kind of
If,
puppy eyes.
if I can just stop this for a second.
Okay, let's move on. I'll
No,
deal
no,
with it.
no, no.
Sure.
If I can just stop this for a second, you should have said this should never have happened. If it hadn't been for you, you say you've done nothing wrong.
Yep.
This gentleman warned you when he
Yes.
was here August the 22nd,
Yes.
behave yourself.
Yes,
Now, in a lot of people's eyes around this table,
Yep.
you haven't been perfect. We all want to be, all of us to be perfect.
Right.
You've been far from perfect in most of our eyes. You say you've done
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
Right.
I think you have.
right.
Done
And
things wrong.
respectfully, sir, in my eyes, when I look around the room, they're just as guilty as me. Everybody here.
Well,
Look what happened tonight. Look what happened tonight. Even the gentleman come here tonight left confused.
well, because he didn't go
That's all I'm saying.
confused.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And to look at me as an individual, holy smokes.
Anything further? Okay. So we voted on this already, so let's jump ahead.
Your worship, 11.2 is correspondence to be considered for receipt and support. 11.2.1 is correspondence concerning ELK Solutions and ELK Energy. That council acknowledges receipt of the financial statements of both ELK Solutions and ELK Energy for the year ending December 31st, 16, and supports supports the resolutions of ELK Energy appointing KPMG as auditor and the appointment of the directors for receipt, and that the mayor be authorized to sign those documents accordingly.
That's moved by Councilor Bunny, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
11.2.2 is correspondence from Seniors Ontario, that the said correspondence dated April 18th be received and supported, and that the month of June be proclaimed as Seniors Month in the town of Essex.
Moved by Councillor Bonnie, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
11.2.3 is correspondence from Lanark County, that the copy of this correspondence from Lanark County Council to the Honorable Kathleen Wynne, requesting that the provincial government urgently invest in the solutions to stop the opioid epidemic, including addictions treatment, supportive housing, prevention, and drug policy reform, be received and supported, and if council so chooses to support, a supporting letter be sent accordingly.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Millar, supported by Councillor Bondy. Questions? All in favor? Oh. All in
I
favor?
was just going to
Yep.
say, that's, I'll send a letter in support of the resolution.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries.
11.2.4, correspondence received from Fred Groves offering to sit as a member of the Heritage Committee. And be
Moved by Councillor Bondy, supported by Deputy Mayor Millar. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
And 11.2.5 is correspondence from Jim Oakley of 125 Adelaide Street requesting a noise bylaw exemption.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Millar, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 12 on the agenda, Your Worship, is committee meeting minutes, that the meeting minutes listed in agenda item 12 be received and adopted as circulated.
So moved by Councillor Snively, Councillor Caxero. Support? Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 16 this evening, any reports from council members?
I think we started with Councillor Bondy last time. Oh,
Sorry,
pardon?
Mr. Mayor, I forgot, I have a notice of motion
Oh,
as
okay.
discussed today.
okay, Councillor Bondy.
All right. So we'll bring it up at the next council meeting, whether it passes or not. I'm bringing it up. Administration, so at the next council meeting, that administration prepare a bylaw to open the Clark Street Road extension. And it's just a notice of motion today, so we can't
Okay.
discuss it, but we will
No,
discuss it at the
but
next.
what you said, I saw Mrs. Hunter rise in her chair. You said have it ready for next meeting, a bylaw.
Well, it would, at the
think-
next meeting, the notice of motion would be discussed.
Okay,
And it probably won't pass, but
Okay.
we'll bring it up.
yeah. But is that what you were getting? No. No. Do
There's
you
no
have a-
discussion on it
No.
tonight.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So tonight, the notice of motion for the next council meeting, which will be June 5th, that administration prepare a bylaw to open the Clark Street Road extension.
That will be the topic of
Yes.
that evening.
Yes.
And there's no discussion. Sorry, Councillor Vokes, Councillor Snively, no discussion. No motion for next meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bondy.
Item 16, reports from council members.
Okay, I started with Councillor Bondy last time. Let's go with Councillor Vokes this time. We'll just keep going around.
Minute limit, right? Because I want to take a few minutes and I want to talk about, obviously, the Essex Rocks and Roll Car Show we're having the 26th, on June 26th. And just for everybody's information, David Creed will be there on Thursday, actually painting a mural on the back of Quality Cleaners. We'll be there, and I won't be able to be in attendance tomorrow night for the 5 o'clock meeting because I'll be there at the Quality Cleaners. We're fixing up the back wall, the Essex Memorial Spitfire Committee, getting ready for him to paint that on Thursday night. So he'll be painting that the Thursday before the car show and finishing up, and the unveiling of that depicted picture of the Spitfire will be unveiled on Friday at the car show. We're going to have the Disney characters there for all the children to come out and enjoy. We're going to have the IHRA rail team there. They're going to be there with their rail cars. We're going to have WHAM, which is Windsor Area Modern Mopar. They're going to be there with all their high-end Challengers, SRTs, and all their, again, modern Mopars. Thunder Road Harley Davidson will be participating again with all their Harley Davidsons. We have over 40 businesses as of today in Essex and from Harrow going to participate and have their businesses set up at the car show. We got Eccentric Auto Sports there, which routinely does the Cobo Arena show. We're going to have a kids zone for the kids to play in, and there's going to be games set up for them to play in. We're having Todd Porter there. Todd Porter has got his own CD out, and he's known all across Ontario for his fiddle playing abilities. And obviously, we're having James Gibb, the 2014 Collingwood winner, and his band, the Silvertones, will be taking stage at 6 o'clock. The show this year is pet friendly. We're going to have an area set up where you can take your pets in and get them some fresh water to drink. And a food land is supplying all the treats for the dogs. And again, we're working on the snowbirds. We're remaining very optimistic that the snowbirds are going to be doing a flyover for us. The Windsor Spitfires are going to be there from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock, and they're going to be there at the Memorial Cup. And we're going to have the students from the local schools coming out to visit with the Spitfires, pre-car show, and get a chance to get the autographs from the players and see the Memorial Cup. And we, last but not least, after everybody hearing of our financial wants, we have had business after business after business come out as of the next day and give us a huge amount of money. So and I want to take this chance to thank the businesses, not only in Essex, by the way. There were several businesses from Harrow come forward and give us money, and we received money from businesses in Leamington, and we received money from businesses in Lakeshore after hearing on the radio the next day of not having the opportunity to get financial support. And lastly, I certainly want to thank Unifor, because as of today, Unifor has committed to sponsoring our show, and it won't be sponsoring the Fun Fest this year put on by the town of Essex. They're taking all their money and giving it to our show. So I want to announce and thank Unifor for their endeavors in supporting our show. Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Caxero. Councillor Snively. Deputy Mayor Malash. And I don't believe I have anything other than to ask Councillor Vokes. We do have a very important meeting tomorrow night at 5:15, and could you not find an hour maybe to give us over that? Okay, I want to thank you very much on behalf of all the rest of us for that. Thank you. Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kind of as an announcement, Seniors Month is also celebrated at our local libraries, and my grandfather, Dave Grant, will be doing a display at the McGregor Library of his wood picture creations, so putting that little plug in there. There'll also be a watercolor painting display at the Harrow branch. So just a report from council members. Everybody, I believe, knows that I've been working very closely with the Celex on the Clark Road extension. And I know that there could be some contentious issues around opening the road. I want everybody on administration and everybody on council to know that my intentions are not to cause friction among anybody here. My intentions are to represent my ward. At this time, my ward has spoke very clearly. Many of my ward residents work at Celex and are in contact with me. So there is political motivation, whether I run again or not, but there's political motivation for me to see whatever is available to council to open that road. It is a $22 to $25 million investment in Ward 3, actually, not even Ward 4. But investments like this don't come across our table very often. So you can understand that the Celex are extremely frustrated that they're not allowed to use the road that the town is essentially paid for. So we'll see where the notice of motion goes, but I believe everybody knows my position, and it's not to create bad relationships here. It's to represent the residents that elected me.
And with that, I wasn't prepared, but then I forgot about it. At our last meeting, council asked administration to go back and try to work on finding a way to get that road opened. You know, we've been working. Would you like to just make a... Okay, never mind, forget about it. Didn't say a word. But, the council asked administration, and I should have brought it up earlier because it should be dealt with, what they found out since our 2 weeks ago. Okay. Excuse me, I have the floor, okay? Councillor Vokes, now, I'm going to warn you right now, and you know what happens when you get a warning. Everybody else keeps quiet except you. So, once again, I'm not going to say another word. I'm not saying another word, thank goodness. Mrs. Hunter.
Your Worship, I just want to remind council that the announcement section and the reports from council members, there is to be no discussion from council. The councillor presents what they want to present, and then there is absolutely no discussion of any of the points.
And I agree 100% with you, but we missed an item from last meeting, that should have been brought up this evening to discuss. It should have been, and that's all I was going to do, is get what we have found out as administration. But nobody wants to hear it. If you want to hear about it after the meeting, come and see me, or Tracy, Pelon Apps. We'll update you. Thank you very much.
With that, Your Worship, we're on announcements. Item 17, any announcements this evening?
Councilor Vogt made his, so anybody else? Fish and Derby's coming up.
Okay.
No announcements? June 10th. June 10th. Larry? Pretty sure. Tracy. Okay. That's a fishing derby.
Just further to that, Your Worship, I would just let everybody know, anybody who plans on keeping a boat in the harbor, okay, it's full.
Oh,
So you're not going to be looking to have to trailer your boat.
Deputy Mayor Malash.
Well, since we're going all the way out till June, I'll just quickly tell you that on the same date, June the 10th, Coan Park is hosting Leo Dufour, comedian, for a comedy corner night right at the park in the pavilion. If you want tickets for that, it's $15 to attend just the comedy corner event. But if you want dinner as well, it's $25, and there's chicken and pulled pork. You can have a choice of those two dinners. It's to help fundraise for the park. Also on Sunday, June the 11th, the McGregor Music Fest. I believe it's the 27th annual Music Fest. All proceeds go to our Regional Cancer Center. They typically raise about $26,000 a year for the Regional Cancer Center. It's the Regional Cancer Center's largest regional fundraiser. Thank you.
Welcome. And I don't think there's a problem with going out within a month's time. You know, we are all busy people. It doesn't hurt to inform the public of these, goings on so they can mark their schedule. So, it doesn't have to be next week. I think it's okay to go further on. Thank you for them.
18.1, bylaws that require third and final reading. 1597, being a bylaw to adopt the official plan amendment number 6 for third reading this evening.
Moved by Councilor Caxero, supported by Councilor Bondi. Questions? On favor? Motion carries.
And bylaw 1605 to authorize the execution of a lease agreement between the town and the Harrow Health Center Incorporated for third reading as well this evening.
Deputy Mayor Malash and Councilor Snively, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
And bylaw 1607 for third reading, being the confirming bylaw from the May 1st regular council meeting.
Councilor Caxero and Councilor Bondi, questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw 18.2 on the agenda, Your Worship, bylaws that require first, second, third, and final reading. Bylaw 1608 being a bylaw to establish tax rates and additional charges for municipal, county, and education purposes for the year 2017.
Moved by Council Bundy, Deputy Mayor Milano supports. Questions? All in favor? Carries.
And 18.3 for first and second reading this evening is Bylaw 1611, being the confirming bylaw for this May 15th, 2017 regular council meeting.
Moved by Council Cacero, supported by Council Snively. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Looking for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Milano, Council Snively. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Have a great evening. Go Ottawa.